Welcome to the Wellness on Purpose podcast, your go-to source for impactful, educational, and realistic information designed to propel you forward on your journey to intentional well-being, not just for today, but for the well-being of future generations. Join us as we dive into insightful conversation with industry and brand leaders in the ever-evolving landscape of the health and wellness industry. Discover the latest trends, gain valuable perspectives, and uncover practical tips to elevate your wellness journey starting today. This podcast is brought to you by Joanne's Place Health Foods, your trusted partner in health, located in the heart of Peterborough and Lindsay, Ontario. I'm your host, Marissa Laughlin, and I'm thrilled to be guiding you through this season of the Wellness on Purpose podcast. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Wellness on Purpose podcast. Nadia Badowski, who is the founder of Koope Skincare. This is a new skincare brand that has landed on Joanne's Place shelves, and I'm really looking forward to talking to Nadia today about where the passion for this brand started, what the mission is for the brand, and why it is so important to have a minimal skincare routine that is supportive for your skincare concerns, that is in fact natural, and that actually follows the European standards, which, if you know, the European standards are much higher than the US and Canadian when it comes to skincare and everything else for that matter. So please join me in welcoming Nadia onto the podcast today. Good morning, Nadia. Welcome to the Wellness on Purpose podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to have you on today to talk about your own experience in formulating a skincare line, but also we've had such great feedback in store on this skincare line, which is called Koope, and I'm really excited to share with our listeners a little bit more about what makes this brand so unique and why we have it on our shelves at Joanne's Place. So before we get into talking about the brand, I would love to know a little bit more about you and kind of your journey of creating this skincare line. So can you take us back to maybe when you first started to have some skin issues appear and really how that experience shaped your perspective on skincare in the industry?
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. And it's great to be here. And I'm so happy that we're on the shelves at Joanne's Place. It's wonderful. A little bit about my journey and why I started the brand. So I guess my interest started, I'm a qualified esthetician, and I was qualified about 20 years ago. So I've always had kind of a love and a passion for skincare. I kind of transitioned out of skincare later in my career, but my passion for beauty and ingredients and things like that didn't really change. And that meant that I was constantly trying new products. I was putting loads of different things on my skin all the time. Eventually, I guess it caught up with me, and I had a really horrible reaction. I had chronic urticaria all over my face and neck. And I had that actually for the better part of a year. So, and there were really large kind of welts. And I saw dermatologists and, skin experts and doctors and, and holistic practitioners, an herbalist at one point. And it was either the herbalist or the naturopath told me that I was lactose intolerant, and that was causing the skin problems, which didn't really make sense. But and I'm not lactose intolerant, but I was just kind of given every reason and not leading to the reason. And then reason, eventually I saw a dermatologist who said, okay, bring everything that you use on your skin and your hair into the office. And I did, and I kind of had this big bag, and I dumped it out, and she said, okay, well, that's your first problem. You're using too many products. And she explained, that the skin can only tolerate so much, and especially as you're getting older, and different environmental factors and health factors. So stress, for example. So if you're constantly fighting histamines, from sensitive reactions to skincare, when your immune system is down due to stress, you're more likely to have a reaction. And at that time I was, separating from my husband, which was, very difficult, obviously. And anyways, the first thing that she said is to kind of pare back the routine and really kind of focus on products that didn't have fragrances, essential oils, things like that, common sensitizers. And I was quite baffled because a lot of the products that I'd been using for years and years and years. And she said sometimes it just kind of takes a little bit of a blip in the immune system. So anyways, that's kind of the long story of how the journey started. But fast forwarding, I developed a very keen interest for my own personal use in skincare ingredients. And I realized that in addition to at that time it was 1,400 ingredients banned in Europe. Now it's 1,600, but I realized that in addition to those ingredients, there were a lot of ingredients that were very common in skincare products that were highly sensitizing. It took me probably about 4 or 5 months to get rid of the chronic urticaria. It was very painful. It took a really long time. But following that, I only used like really simple products for a really long time, but they weren't really giving me the benefits that I wanted. Things like anti-aging benefits, collagen peptides, hyaluronic acid. I wasn't really getting them in these kind of simplified, pared down products. And I noticed that it was really difficult actually to find something like skincare basics that were not sensitizing and that didn't have these kind of main culprit ingredients in them. And that's kind of, I guess, where the journey started of me starting Koope.
It's so refreshing to hear simplified skincare routine, because I think so much of what we are exposed to on social media is 10 steps of this. And there's so many different ingredients hitting people's skin. And just as you said, your skin, like anything else in your life, has a threshold. And eventually, if you're exceeding that threshold, too many things on there, you can have some reactions, even if they are natural products. It's just this over applying, this over obsession, this over complicated skincare. And honestly, that's like one of my favorite things about the skincare line is there's so simple formulations, which I'll get into, but there isn't 20 different products to achieve the results that you're looking for. So it's just really refreshing to hear that we can simplify things and get the results that we want, not just for like a skincare condition, but anti-aging as well. So I love that. Now, you've spent some time in Europe, and you mentioned that Europe has some different standards as well. So during your time in Europe, what kind of influenced you to take this approach to skincare and ingredient safety in your products? Like, is that different than maybe if you were a different part of the world compared to Europe?
I've lived in Europe for a long time, and each country has their own standards or ingredient standards of what's banned and what's not. So we'll kind of start from the bottom, which is the US. Sadly, the US only bans 13 ingredients, like 13, so not like 1,300, just 13. It might be up to 15 now, but it's very, very low numbers. Their regulations are not very high. In Canada, Canada is in the kind of 400 mark now. It depends on what source you're looking at, but it's somewhere between 300 and 500 now Canada has banned. Europe now is up to 1,600. So we are actually, Europe and Japan are the highest in the world. Europe is definitely high, one of the highest standards in the world of skincare ingredient safety. So it definitely 100% influenced. I formulated all the products here in the UK, and they're all European standard. They follow all of the laws and regulations here, which is really important. And our products, particularly being sold in Canada, that the standards are just, the highest. It's not the bare minimum. These are the highest standards, globally of ingredient safety. So yeah, definitely influenced. I guess it influenced from a safety perspective, but it also influenced from a product usage.
That's really interesting about the safety and standards of what is and isn't banned. And I do think that Europe is far more advanced than many parts of the world, for sure. And I mean, talking from just like a holistic standpoint as well, this goes above and beyond skincare. This is their food, their way of living. It's just so much more advanced and so much more, I would say, considerate of everyone's health and wellness in Europe, which is really important. So I always say, if you can find something from Europe, it's definitely a good option. Now let's talk a little bit about Koope the creation and the mission. So can you talk us kind of through that thought process behind them, and then also maybe go a little bit deeper into talking about, again, the European regulation and what it is to ban those ingredients, what it means to be clean per se, in terms of those standards that you're following?
First of all, let's talk about the word clean. So the word clean in any way, whether it's, regulatory, marketing, etc., it's not regulated. So pretty much anybody can slap the word clean on a carton, and there's nothing to stop them from doing that. So clean is really, I guess, the perception of what the brand considers clean, or, some retailers obviously have their own definition of clean, but it really, it doesn't mean anything from a regulatory or perspective, or there's nobody really monitoring what that word means, sadly. And I guess it's also been it's been so widely used now for such a long time, and I guess I would have hoped, and I'm sure maybe some other brands who kind of follow our ethos would have hoped that maybe something would have been implemented, considering that there's so much, there's so many other things that are so litigious in skincare. But anyways, maybe that's another podcast. So, that's the first thing. So what we define as clean is, if it's not suitable for sensitive skin, then, all skin is sensitive. So nothing should be formulated for skin that can tolerate something that's not good for you. If it's not good for you, it doesn't matter if your skin can tolerate it or not. It just shouldn't be in the product. So the 3 rules that I've kind of created as my beacon when I'm formulating new products. The first thing is, if it doesn't benefit the skin, then don't put it in. And what I mean by that are things like fragrances, finishing ingredients like silicones, etc., essential oils. And essential oils is a really big one, I think, especially in the natural products world, because they are natural, but essentials oils are actually highly irritating. They're very, very sensitizing. If they're not diluted properly, they're very potent, and you can actually burn the skin if it's not diluted correctly. Essential oils also increase phytotoxicity, so you're more prone to sun damage. They can be reactive with other ingredients. They can disrupt the skin barrier. They can strip natural oils and damage the moisture barrier and cause dryness, flaking. I mean, I can go on. Essential oils is kind of a big one. But I guess the main thing for me, just personally, was just how highly, highly sensitizing they are. So, we don't use any essential oils for that reason. The next kind of rule that I have, that not all ingredients are best used topically. So some ingredients are best taken internally. So there are some ingredients, for example, that supports collagen and elastin formation, like bamboo, for example. Bamboo is really great to take internally for skin functions, but it's not as effective topically. There are some antioxidants that are better taken orally or internally rather than topically. And then there are some that are really great if you mix both, for example, collagen, for example. Collagen obviously is great to take, internally. It's also great to apply topically in skincare. But not every single ingredient is actually beneficial. And I guess, from an ethical perspective, I really don't want to put an ingredient in a product just because it sounds great, or because maybe it's good in supplement form or something like that. So we really focus on ingredients that are the most beneficial topically, or paired with something that can be taken in both methods. The last thing is, all of our products are vegan and cruelty-free for obvious reasons. We don't use any ingredients tested on animals. And all of our products are vegan so that they're accessible for absolutely everybody.
Those are 3 really big, important rules that you would think should be the standard for all skincare, especially not tested on animals. I just saw actually another brand talking about where we currently are, in 2025, and that it's absolutely shocking that is still even allowed to happen. And I couldn't agree more. It's obviously amazing when we see brands that's their the core, their foundation. They're not doing that. They're really setting the standard, even though there's a lot of brands, unfortunately, that still are not even just putting that as their bare minimum. But all really great things. And I'm glad you touched upon essential oils as well, because what we know is just because something is natural doesn't mean the safety of it is suitable for everybody. And that's kind of that greenwashing, similar to the clean movement, is if something is natural, then we just assume it's safe. There's so many nuances to skin types, sensitivities, and as you mentioned, dilution. Not to say all essential oils are bad, but it's how it's being used, what it's being mixed with, and the dosage of what that is. That's really important. Right. So I'm really happy to hear that has been part of, what is a rule for you to formulate this, because it's a big thing. Now,
and actually, I'll add to that. So on the flip side of what we don't put in, and we talk about kind of like the 100% natural, it's also what we do put in. So preservatives, for example. So we get a lot of questions like, oh, why isn't this 100% natural and stuff? And like the importance of preservatives in a skincare product is just so critical. Preservatives, they prevent bacteria growth. If you think about where your skincare products are held, most of the time they're held in the bathroom or somewhere that's, very damp. There's water constantly being exposed. Anything that's water-based, like any product that is water-based, is an ideal environment for bacteria growth. And then, the question might be immediately, okay, well, why aren't you oil-based? But oil-based products are not a complete solution, because the second that water is introduced to the product, like on your fingers, for example. So if your fingers are even damp a little bit, and say you have a pot. I mean, none of our products are in a pot. All of our products are in a tube. And the reason for that is because it's more hygienic, so that you're not, it doesn't matter if you just wash your hands. You just have natural microbiomes on your fingers and on your skin. If you're kind of constantly sticking, your finger in a product, or, the second that you open it, there's moisture in the air or something like that. So 100% oil-based products are not a complete solution to eliminating preservatives in your skincare products. They're also not suitable for all skin types. They don't deliver benefits like being able to control the pH, like pH balance. They don't carry all actives. So anyways, I'm kind of going on a little bit of a rampage there, but safe. It's all about safety, right? So what is in my product is safe. So again, kind of going back to those European standards. So we know that Europe has very high safety standards. So there's a lot of ingredients that, even though they're permitted, maybe in Canada or Europe or whatever, maybe the standards in Europe is that you can only have a certain percentage. So you already know, like, that percentage is safe. Like we get a lot of, I don't want to kind of get into this too much on this, but like we get a lot of questions about phenoxyethanol. Phenoxyethanol is a really safe, stable ingredient when used at a safe level. The main concern is that we are aware of is it could be irritating, which is like any ingredient. If you kind of load the skin with any ingredient, good or bad, if you put too much hyaluronic acid, like if you put anything that's just kind of like at a higher level than safe or recommended, you could have sensitivity. But it is really important to essentially, I guess what I'm trying to say is safety is number one. So what is going to deliver me the safest product at the safest level? And I mean, is it safe? Is it low risk of carcinogenics? Is it low risk of bacteria growth? Is it, it's more, there's kind of like a whole picture. It's not just, safety isn't just about preservatives and bacteria and, health, like what's going to absorb in your skin system. It really has to be approached like the whole picture.
Sounds like you've really done your research and formulated these based on what's best for everyone. Sensitive skin, acne-prone skin, things like that, which we'll get into. But one other thing that is a part of Koope's creation and mission is more than just the skincare. It's beyond that. It's also about giving back. And I don't think enough brands maybe talk and highlight about what they're doing outside of just formulation. So I would love to know why it is important to incorporate a cause-driven mission into the brand when you were creating this and moving forward with the brand as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate you asking because not a lot of people do. I had a kind of a non-traditional rocky start in life. I'm a child trafficking survivor, and um, I got very involved in the cause about 10 years ago. I started to volunteer with trafficking survivors in Europe, and I actually joined a charity. I was on their board, and I was just I'm always I'm always kind of shocked and enamored how common it is, and people are starting to talk about it more. But anyways, uh, when I started Coop, I guess I kind of it was COVID. Like, it was at the beginning of COVID, and I think a lot of people were really thinking about what was important to them. And in addition to my passion for creating these products, for the actual formulations themselves, it was so important for me to do something beyond a product. And actually, I think, and I've said this before, but I think it's absolutely inexcusable for a brand not to do more with their reach. We are welcomed into people's homes and into people's lives, like our brands and our products. And I just think that brands have a responsibility to do more with that, and we have this wonderful opportunity to use our reach to make a difference. So that was kind of a non-negotiable, which is not very common for a startup, because startups are usually really focused on making money the first little while, which I was too, believe me. But it was really important that we did something. So I donated a portion to every sale from day one to anti-trafficking initiatives and charities. So that was really important. I kind of did that quietly for a long time. Nobody really knew about it. And then I realized, when I do trade shows and speak to retailers and customers, actually people really appreciated that. So I started to talk about it more. And then the other thing that's really special is obviously there's art on our packaging. If you've ever picked up a Coop bottle, you'll see there's the right panel. There's a piece of art, and that's actually a piece of art commissioned through our call for art. So we put out a call for art periodically, and the winner is paid a commission fee, and we also help to promote them and try to help them gain awareness as an emerging artist. And that was kind of really important, because I think that everybody's really tired of being sold to, and I think myself included as a customer, I'm a customer, I'm tired of being sold to, and I want to feel that a brand is doing more than just selling me a product. I want to feel inspired, and I want to feel like part of a community. And our program, that's what our art program does. And it's really unique. We're the first brand in skincare to do something like that. So very special, very proud of that.
Amazing. You should be very proud of that, and continue to share that as part of your story and mission, because as you said, trafficking part, I actually didn't know that. So thank you for sharing that. Very vulnerable. And but as you said, you maybe weren't aware, and I would say most people probably aren't aware of how many people are affected by this. And the more we talk about it, the more awareness we bring to it, the more education, the more hopefully preventative we can bring as well to the situations. But it's really important to talk about, and it's very lovely to hear that brands are behind some type of mission in some way. And it's just a different audience that you're also talking to in those different demographics. And I think it's really important. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking that into consideration when creating a brand, because as you said, there's no reason that shouldn't be part of every single brand's mission in some capacity, whether it's small to your local town or a large organization. It should definitely be incorporated. Quick pause in today's episode, because I want to talk to you about a transformational online program. In case you missed it, Joanne's Place released an online program called the Wellness on Purpose Program to Educate You last year. And our intention with this program is to make this education more accessible for our community to better support their wellness journeys. This program promotes sustainable and realistic changes, and it really focuses on the foundational pillars of every single person's health: your nutrition, your sleep, your stress, and also movement. If you want to get started today, click the link in the description below to learn more about the Wellness on Purpose program. By the way, it's completely free and you can move at your own pace from the comfort of your own home. Now let's get back to the episode. We've talked about a little bit about your journey, a little bit about the creation and mission behind Koope. I would love to talk a little bit more about the products that we have on our shelf and just create some education and awareness around why there isn't 20 different products and how effective a simple skincare routine can be. So a lot of people are struggling with identifying hidden allergens in their skincare products. And you kind of spoke to that with having more of that complex, skincare imbalance, and you were trying to navigate. So what would you say are some of the most common irritants that people should be looking at their skincare package for and that you have actually avoided in the formulation of Koope as well?
Yeah, these are just ingredients that we exclude because of our knowledge of what they do. But, obviously I mentioned essential oils, so I don't have to say that again. There are some ingredients that are kind of fragrance, like linalool is one. So linalool is very common. That's a really common sensitizer. Citral is another one, very, very, very high on the sensitizing list. Those are both kind of fragrance products. They try to mask, or they kind of mask ingredient smells. Any kind of sulfite, SLS, SLES, so any kind of sulfates. So if something's foaming, for example, so if you go and it's like a foaming cleanser and it comes in like a pump bottle, unless it has an alternative foaming agent like an amino acid or something like that, it's likely a sulfate, and that is a very big dryer of your skin. It just completely soaks all the moisture and is very, very irritating. So those are kind of the most common culprits, I'd say, to sensitizing ingredients out there in the market. Okay. And fragrances, obviously, any kind of fragrances.
Yeah. So you highlighted that you do focus on active ingredients in some of your formulations, and maybe some people don't really know what active ingredients mean. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
So basically an active ingredient is something that is doing something measurable in your skin. So for example, a hyaluronic acid is an active ingredient because that produces a result, or it does something measurable. A ceramide or a peptide, like those are kind of the ingredients that are working. They're kind of the working agents or the working parts of your skincare. Things like preservatives or emulsifiers or different kind of agents to keep it from sticking together. Those aren't really active ingredients. Those are kind of functional in the product, to give them their texture, to give them their form or their safety. So those are kind of the two categories of active and non-active ingredients in a skincare product.
Okay. Now let's jump into talking about the products. So there are two different cleansers that you have formulated, and I would like to talk about each of them. There's the Milky Cleanser and then there's the Gel Cleanser. So let's start with the Milky Cleanser. Okay. What makes this formulation so unique, and also who would be most suited for this type of formulation as well?
Yeah, so our Milk Cleanser actually just won the beauty awards, the Chatelaine Fashion Magazine and Hello Beauty Awards.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's the second award that the Milk Cleanser has won. It won the 2023 Health.com Skin Awards as well. It's really special. All of our products are special, but the Milk Cleanser is very special to my heart. It's a really unique formula. It's very rich. It has a really rich, smooth texture. It's very kind of nourishing and thick. Some people have actually said that they use it and they feel that they don't even have to use a moisturizer afterwards, which I don't condone, but I'm flattered by the compliment. But the Milk Cleanser is really best for like your dry, mature skin. It is very rich. I'm 40 and, I'm probably perimenopausal and my skin is getting drier. So I tend to, for example, use, I probably have like kind of more balanced skin type. I'm maybe a little bit more on the dry side. I use the Milk Cleanser like in the morning, for example, when I don't have any makeup and I just kind of want something really hydrating. I tend to kind of rotate between the Milk Cleanser and the Gel Cleanser. I know people, sometimes I use it at night and then in the morning, like I kind of, essentially I try to kind of, I try to use a gel at one time of day and the milk at one time of day. We do have customers that are very ultra dry, also like Canadian winters.
Yes.
Sometimes I use a milk cleanser more in the winter if I'm visiting home in Canada or something like that. But it is really kind of for that dry, mature skin type. The most important thing, so it's creamy, like it's not a gel texture. So the active ingredients in the milk cleanser, which active ingredients are a little bit different in a cleanser than they are in a moisturizer, because obviously you rinse it off. But there are benefits, like centella, for example. We love centella. It's such a wonderful, wonderful ingredient. Actually, I have something to say about centella and other botanical extracts. Just kind of a side note, when we talk about botanical extracts and essential oils, they're very different things. So botanical extracts are typically not sensitizing. It's kind of in a different category. So I just don't want to confuse anybody. The other ingredients that are in the milk cleanser, so there's glycerin, which is very hydrating, oat amino acids. There's an apricot kernel oil, there's grapeseed oil, and there's aloe, all very calming. But some of the things that these ingredients do, they're, the apricot kernel oil is a natural source of vitamin A. It's anti-inflammatory. It's very, very hydrating. The oat amino acids, which you'll see in both of our cleansers, that is that foaming agent without using a sulfate. So it doesn't kind of give you that like massive foam, which you don't really want anyways on your front. You want kind of a nice gentle foam. The milk cleanser doesn't foam in the same way as the gel cleanser because there's only a little bit of the oat amino acid, but that is kind of that supplement that I was talking about. So I can go into the gel cleanser if you want now with the active ingredients for that as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention the ones for the milk cleanser.
That's all good. Yeah, let's flip to the gel cleanser and talk a little bit about this formulation, what makes it so unique, and who is it best suited for?
So the gel cleanser is suitable for all skin types. So you can use it on your dry, your oily skin, balanced skin types, acneic. It's very, very good for acne. But the gel cleanser, it's a very silky gel texture. So if you've used a gel cleanser before, maybe you'll have noticed that after you use it, you kind of feel a little bit like stripped from all of your hydration. You feel a little bit tight and dry. What makes our gel cleanser really special is that you just don't get that dryness, kind of no stripping feeling that you get with a lot of the other gel cleansers. And a lot of the other gel cleansers have that SLS in them, which is, a big part of why they're drying. Some of the active ingredients in the gel cleanser are, it has those oat amino acids, organic cucumber extract, allantoin kiwi extract, and it also has aloe as well. That's calming. Both of our cleansers remove makeup really well. The gel cleanser is a really, really deep clean. So you get that like kind of really deep pore clean without having that dry kind of tight feeling afterwards.
I love it. Yeah, that is one thing I definitely struggle with gel cleansers is exactly that like full stripping, the tight feeling. A lot of people associate that feeling with clean, but it's actually it's like that too clean, too stripped, loss of oil. That's hard. So, okay. Thank you for clarifying who needs what for both of those cleansers. Now, this is the real question I have for you, is the next category, which is the moisturizers, because you have 3 SKUs in this category: lightweight, midweight, and heavyweight. And I would love just to talk about what makes these formulations different between all 3 of them, and maybe who would pick or when to pick which one.
Okay, so if you kind of look at all 3 of them, they're exactly what they sound like they do. And part of naming our products, I don't know if you noticed, they're quite simple. We try to keep the names of our products relatively simple and easy to understand. So the lightweight moisturizer is kind of your lighter, it's sheer. The lightweight moisturizer actually, side note, also won the beauty awards. So the milk cleanser, so the milk cleanser won for dry and mature skin, and then the lightweight moisturizer won for oily and acneic skin. So we're super proud of that. But anyways, so the lightweight moisturizer, what makes it special is it has a very sheer finish. So when you put it on, a lot of people that that have very oily skin or acneic skin, again, they try to get that squeaky clean feeling, which is not good, because when you get that squeaky clean feeling, your skin is going to produce more natural oils, and then you get more oily. So it's kind of counterproductive. So you need to really maintain a balance of like healthy hydration to keep the skin from overproducing additional oils. So it also has a mattifier agent. So if your skin is a little bit on kind of the shiny side, it will give you kind of a matte finish as well. It does hydrate without being kind of heavy or oily, as mentioned. It absorbs super quickly. So oily or acneic skin, like they kind of like a really thin gel, or they want it to be almost translucent to feel like they're not really putting anything on. So when you put the lightweight moisturizer on, it kind of goes on a little bit thick, and you think that it's going to be thick, but it's not. It's just kind of the viscosity of the product, and once you apply it, it just goes and it absorbs super quickly, and it has a really, really nice kind of sheer finish to it, and it does help to reduce sensitivity as well. So some of the core ingredients are all three of our moisturizers, first of all, have some kind of form of hyaluronic acid or sodium hyaluronate. So the lightweight has a sodium hyaluronate in it. It also has ceramides and prebiotics. It has niacinamide, which is really great for, anti-inflammatory. It helps to even the skin tone. There's all kinds of benefits of niacinamide. And it also has an olive glyceride in it, which is brightening, and it helps to support the skin's barrier as well. So the middleweight moisturizer, that's kind of going to be your middle of the road. That's for a balanced skin type. You can use it on any skin type again. So I use the middleweight sometimes, like if it's really hot. We had a heat wave here in London last week. We were talking about that earlier. And it was just so hot. I normally use the heavyweight moisturizer, but I was using the middleweight the last few days, which was great. It just kind of gave, it was still very hydrating, but it wasn't as hydrating as the heavyweight, which I certainly didn't need. But suitable for all skin types, or balanced skin types. The special ingredient, or the hero ingredient, is in the middleweight moisturizer, is that it has an anti-pollution shield. So if you're a city dweller, for example, or you live somewhere that has kind of a high pollution level in the air, it will help to protect your skin from airborne pollutants. It also helps with signs of, not the anti-pollution shield, but the product itself helps with signs of an unbalanced or an unhealthy microbiome as well. Some of the core main ingredients, so it does have hyaluronic acid in it to retain moisture. And just a quick thing on hyaluronic acid, just kind of like a side note. Hyaluronic acid, if applied, hyaluronic acid is best when you're using it in a product, or if you have water on your face already. So like if you use a serum, for example, make sure that your face is damp first before you put a hyaluronic acid on, because it doesn't create hydration. Hyaluronic acid retains hydration. So for example, if it's in a moisturizer, it will retain the hydration from that moisturizer. If you put it on without any carrier, like in a moisturizer, or on just kind of dry skin on its own, then it does the opposite. So anyways, it has a hyaluronic acid in it, squalene, baobab oil. Our baobab oil is actually really special. It comes from a not-for-profit in Africa, and all of the proceeds go back to the community, and they build schools for children, and it's really wonderful. It has vitamins A, C, and E. I mentioned the anti-pollution shield, and also antioxidants. And very great for all skin types. The next one over is our heavyweight moisturizer, best for kind of dry or mature skin types. It's what makes it special, so it's opposite to kind of the lightweight moisturizer. It goes on a little bit thinner. What I was trying to achieve with this moisturizer is that I found that a lot of kind of deeply hydrating moisturizers were really heavy and thick. So like they would cake on under my makeup, or like maybe they would pill, and it just kind of felt heavy, like I would almost feel it on my face. And what I wanted to produce is I wanted to create something that was very hydrating, but not like heavy or cakey. And that's exactly what this product does. So it goes on, it's kind of a really nice texture. It's very smooth and silky, but it's not like super cakey or heavy, but it is ultra hydrating, and it hydrates for a very long time. Like you don't have to reapply during the day. It absorbs very quickly. It has sodium hyaluronate in it as well, complex form of hyaluronic acid. It has peptides, very rich shea butter as well. Shea is great for hydrating. A very high quality shea is important. I think I mentioned peptides, vitamin F. It also has rosemary extract, so not rosemary oil, but rosemary extract is a really lovely ingredient. It helps to soften fine lines and wrinkles. It helps to tighten tone. It helps fight bacteria that sits on the skin. It helps with under eye bags. It's a really beautiful ingredient, rosemary extract. And it also has antioxidants in the product. So all three of our moisturizers can be used day or night. They can be used interchangeably. They can be used with other products or other brands or our cleansers or whatever. And same with our cleansers. They can be used day or night. They're very interchangeable.
Amazing. So although like 5 simple products, all very thought out, formulated for different skin types, but also like interchangeable. So I love that. And I really like that there's 3 options for the moisturizers, because there's also like different times of the year. Like, you get the hottest of hot heat waves, you get the coldest of cold. So appreciate that there is options depending on not only your skin type, but potentially your environment as well. Okay, I have one more question for you, if that's okay. For someone who is just starting out their skincare journey, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to them?
The one piece of advice for someone starting, okay, so I guess the first thing is start simple. So, right from the beginning of this podcast, I talked about simplifying your routine and what that did for my skin when it was aggravated. But if you think about your skin like a cup of water, like you can't just keep filling it, right? It will eventually overflow. And, your skin has to adapt. So, don't overload. I would say start with the basics. So the basics are your and this is where we started as a brand. So we started with really good cleansers and moisturizers. So make sure that you start with a very high quality cleanser and very high quality moisturizer, and be consistent with it as well. Like if you don't want to it takes the skin some time to adjust to new products. So I would say be consistent for quite a while, and keep it simple and be consistent for quite a while to allow the skin to really get the benefits of the product. That's my one advice, but I've got loads of advice. That would probably be my top one for somebody just starting their skincare journey.
Love it. Consistency is big. I think if we, I've talked to so many people, and I'm guilty of this too, is I expect something to work like that day, and it doesn't happen that way. It's all about consistency, removing things that may be actually triggering what you're trying to combat, and just being aware of all those things. But consistency is a big one for sure. So I love that.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited. We're really happy to be at Joanne's Place, and I'm hoping to do more of these things and more education. But thank you so much for this opportunity and the time, and thanks to all the viewers for watching. And I hope, if you haven't tried Koope already, that you have an opportunity to do so.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, so Koope is available at Joanne's Place, both of our locations in Peterborough and Lindsay. If you have questions, you can always email us, but just pop in, talk to one of our sales specialists, and we would be happy to share more about the line and help you pick what would be best suited for you. So Nadia, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, sharing your wealth of information as well as your passion. It's been very lovely to talk to you, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you for joining us for another insightful episode of the Wellness on Purpose podcast. We hope you found the information valuable and inspiring to support you along your wellness journey. Before we go, a quick reminder. The content shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, it's important to remember that everyone's health journey is unique. We strongly recommend consulting with your healthcare professional or a qualified health practitioner for personalized advice tailored to your specific needs and circumstances. Your well-being is a priority, and speaking to a healthcare professional ensures that you receive guidance that best aligns with your individualized health goals. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please reach out to us through our website. That's all for now. I hope you stay well, stay informed, and remember, your health is your greatest wealth. Until next time, take care.